So if someone asks you, how are things? How are you? That's like a green light. Things are awesome, man. The real estate market is crazy. I haven't been even busier. They're like, oh, really? Is it? Yeah, things are selling. In fact, man, we really need listings right now. It's nuts. Like I got all these buyers we're trying to find houses for, nothing for sale. In fact, one of the things I do for all my clients is I give them an annual review to let them know how much their home is worth at any given day. I'd be happy to do that for you. I mean, if you ever wanted to sell 10, 20 years down the road, no obligation right now, but I'd be happy to run the numbers on your house and tell you what it's worth. You might be shocked. What we're going to talk about is the concept of doing an annual review. Anybody ever heard me talk about that before, an annual review with members of your sphere of influence? I know Candace has for sure. But the concept here is we're trying, especially in this market with housing prices having gone up and values going up almost 15, 20% in the last few years. I think most of you will admit that when we talk to people about the value of their home and you tell them the value of their home, oftentimes their eyes get really big with happiness, like they had no idea it was that much. They heard it gone up, but holy moly, it's really fun to give that kind of good news right now. And I honestly believe that one of the reasons housing booms happen is because it's almost like a viral effect. Like people start to learn how much their houses are going up. They get more and more excited. They learn how much equity they have, and then they put their house for sale because they know they can use that big chunk of equity to buy their dream home or their second home or their investment home, or they can empty nest, whatever it is, they can do whatever they want to do. So it becomes an information type of game where the more people we can communicate and make self-aware of their balance sheet based upon the net worth of their biggest asset, typically their home, the more this housing boom perpetuates, prices go up and agents make more commissions. And quite frankly, we're always trying as real estate agents to stay first of mind with the people that are in our sphere of influence. We're always trying to stay first of mind, right? The whole name of the game is, how do we stay in front of them? How do we stay relevant? So when they hear someone or they themselves think about buying or selling, they refer us, they mention us, they use us, they think of us because we're first of mind. And we try to do that in a way that we don't annoy people, right? We're always I always talk about, trying to stay in front of every member of your sphere of influence 40 times a year. It might be a couple phone calls, might be like 10, 12 emails, some mailers, might be direct messages on Facebook, social media posts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Could be even a drive-by or a drop-by where we give them something. There's so many different things we can do to make touches or contacts on each member of our SOI 30, 40 times a year so that we know we get a standard return from our book of business, right? A lot of those things are pretty superficial things though, like here's a calendar magnet. Here are marshmallow peeps at Easter. Here's a client event, an invitation to a client event. All of those things are good things. Don't get me wrong. I like them all and they all work. And I teach you how to do them and I talk about them all the time. But what I'm going to talk about today is another one of those touches, but it's often the most powerful, and it's because it's so relevant to what we do. It is directly tied in to customer service that we provide to the people we know. And we call them annual reviews or an annual property analysis, okay? And let me show you what that program looks like. So, most people, see their professionals annually, whether it's a doctor, an accountant, a financial advisor, they do a checkup. They even take their car in to get checked up to do an assessment of their financial condition, of their health condition, of their tax liability, right? We should do the same with our real estate clients with regards to evaluating the net worth of the real estate that they own. Wouldn't it be nice every year to let all of our clients know what their home is worth, what their rental properties are worth, what their vacation home's worth? So that way they're always up to date on their balance sheet. They always know their assets and their liabilities. They always know how much equity they have in their home so they can make informed decisions with their own financial situation every single year. And that's very, very important to them. And you'll find that on a year like this year, you'll shock the hell out of them when you tell them how much their home's worth. And that might change the way they look at things and their decisions moving forward, right? So yes, it allows you to make additional contacts to your SOI. It allows you to be their trusted real estate advisor. I mean, if you do this with them a year or two in a row, the likelihood that they're going to use some other agent becomes very slim because you're washing their windows for them. You're the one that's doing the maintenance for them. You're the one that's adding value and coming from contribution even when you're not representing them to establish and set a tone for a long-term relationship later too. Okay. And it's information they want to know. I mean, almost anybody, I mean, they want to know the value of their home. I guarantee you, those of you that own homes roughly know the value of your home because you're interested in it. You like to know where your assets are, how much money you've got in there. And people that do own their home and don't know that, they want to know, so long as it doesn't come with any strings attached, right? So the way that we do this, the way that we reach out and have an annual review, it's really easy with Zoom. In fact, I don't think there was a time where we used to have to do this face-to-face or try to set appointments in the office, and that made it much more laborious and time-consuming. Now, with the entire world being okay with video conferencing, it's very, very reasonable to set a goal of trying to set an annual review appointment every single day of the week, at least 4 or 5 times a week, so that at least once a day, you're carving out an hour of it to do an annual review with one of your clients. And really what it amounts to between you and I, we're doing a CMA for each of our clients to give them an update. That's what it really amounts to. But here is how it starts to get presented, okay? The way that it starts to get presented, and again, don't worry, I'm gonna give you this template as well too, is we hop on Zoom with them and we give them this beautiful edited document, which of course you can take my logo. This is just PowerPoint, right? So you can put your logo in there. You can put your name here. You can even change photos if you don't like these. You can change the colors if you don't like them. And then you pop in your photo, maybe your transaction coordinator's photo or your buyer's agent's photos. This kind of tells you what's in this one. You probably don't need to change too much. Tell you a little, the same with this one. You're probably gonna need to change your name and your logo on each of these too. And we make it look really, really professional, where we're talking about different stats all the way through. And you can see, you can fill this in with neighborhood comps in here. And you can see this is a market segment for neighborhood. And I'm gonna show you how to fill this in as well too. Because once you do it once, you can do it for just about everybody within a reasonable area or county or MLS location. You can pull a market report. Now, if you don't want to do these things, you can delete them. Like if you're in LA, you could do this for the entire Los Angeles County area, right? And again, you could do some plugs for your home insurance guy, your mortgage guy if you want to, things like that. Any trusted vendors you want to throw in there, and a maintenance checklist that you want to do, safety tips, things like that, and then close it out. And that's more or less, that's a template I'm going to share with you that you can edit and make your own. And again, all you have to do is do it once for everybody, and that'll be what you use for your 2021 annual reviews. The only thing you're going to have to do that's specific per client is do a CMA for each of their properties. And that is something you're going to get amazing at pricing if you do that. So it really does hone your pricing skills. When you do that, it really informs you of your neighborhood. If you're on a real estate team, it's a great way to train someone else to price for you. Because, if you have an administrative staff member, a listing manager, or even a buyer's agent or a listing assistant, it's a great way to train somebody else to get good at pricing in a hurry. Because oftentimes we think we're the only people that can price. I mean, you and everybody else who thinks that. Someone taught you, so you can teach somebody else. Trust me, it's very, very doable. But with our annual property reviews, that's kind of what your presentation will look like. Then when you scroll down to the annual property analysis, I'm going to share this with you too. You can see this second page is a market neighborhood analysis worksheet, right? So you can put down a neighborhood or an entire county. Then you just go into MLS and pull these stats. You can pull the annual sales, the total number of properties in the neighborhood, and then you can get a turnover rate, the number of closed sales last month versus the active listings now. That's how you get your absorption rate. You can see you can sound like an industry expert if you get all these words down, right? How to calculate your months of inventory, your average sold price, your appreciation rate, and your agent market share percentage, right? How many you're selling in a particular area, maybe how much your entire company's selling, like your entire office might make you look stronger in your numbers. So you can use the royal we. So if you're an office with 200, 250 people, we have sold this many in your neighborhood, or we have sold this percentage in your neighborhood, might make you look a little stronger in your presentation, okay? So if you throw all this info together, again, we can use those in the PowerPoint and fill out those blank lines in the PowerPoint, and then just use that over and over again in every one of your annual review scenarios and meetings with different people, okay? So in that meeting, in general, you can add a lot of slides to that. Like one of the slides that I do not include in there, because you're gonna need to run your own CMA. I'm sure you're gonna put a CMA slide in there for their property. That'll be the one you have to rotate in every single appointment, because it's gonna be very different from person to person unless they all happen to live in the same neighborhood. Now, back to that annual property analysis form, what we want to do is make sure we do a big picture to small picture view of the market. So we start big, maybe by providing national, state, and county stats. And then we move into local county, local city, then get into the neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera. So we get big to then get small until we get down to their CMA and their exact specific micro hyper local neighborhood that we're running comps for. Okay, so understand that's the only part that has to be specific. As far as your national stuff, your state stuff, your county and your city stuff, typically you're going to use those for every one of your appointments. So it's just repeat. So you do the work once to get your presentation together, and the only thing we have to repeat and do over and over again is the CMA for every single one, right? And who receives the review? It's anyone that owns a home. This doesn't have to be past clients. This should be everybody in your sphere of influence, okay? Some of them, you may not know their address. Hopefully we do have addresses for all of them in your database, because you send them mailers and things like that. So we can run CRMs or CMAs for their homes, even if you did not represent them. You refer to them all as your clients. And this is something you do for all of your clients. It does not matter if they haven't been a past client. That's called an assumptive close. And you're rounding people up into the relationship you want them to have, and that's fine. Most people appreciate that. It's flattering. It shows you're trying to earn their business, okay? So anyone that wants to receive the review, or any hot leads you have, any sellers you know that are looking to sell, could be neighbors in an open house. You know, let's say you have an open house and neighbors come through and they're thinking about selling sometime, but not this year. Say, hey, I can give you an annual review. It's something I do for all my clients, give you a rough idea what your home's worth, and no obligation to sell with me. I mean, sell the house 5, 10, 15 years from now. It doesn't matter to me. I just do it with the hopes that maybe you'd consider at least interviewing me for the job if and when you ever decided to sell your home. So we're always trying to do annual reviews for people, especially in this market, because in this market with housing prices jumping like they are, you'll see a very high percentage of the people you do these for actually start thinking about selling and moving into the property they want to, or buying at least, or buying another property, because they can't believe how much equity they have. Does that make sense? Anyone that asks you, how's the market, is someone that could receive the review too. Like, I know when you guys are at social events, people are asking you, this is the easiest way to bring up real estate is when people ask you, how's real estate? Oh, you're in real estate. Great. How's the business? Don't roll your eyes like I do. I roll my eyes when people ask me that, as if I want to talk about it anymore. This is what I do all day long. I just talk about real estate. And I can't help them. Like, I'm not trying to list their house. I've been there, done that, and I don't do that anymore. So I don't really want to talk about real estate anymore. You guys, though, you're trying to generate business. So if someone asks you, how are things? How are you? That's all they have to ask. That's like a green light. Things are awesome, man. The real estate market is crazy. I haven't been even busier. They're like, oh, really? Is it? Yeah, things are selling. In fact, man, we really need listings right now. It's nuts. Like, I got all these buyers we're trying to find houses for, nothing for sale. In fact, one of the things I do for all my clients is I give them an annual review to let them know how much their home is worth at any given day. I'd be happy to do that for you. I mean, if you ever wanted to sell 10, 20 years down the road, no obligation right now, but I'd be happy to run the numbers on your house and tell you what it's worth. You might be shocked. Don't even need to meet with me or anything, that kind of thing. So you just say, I'll just email you the stats and reach out to you over the phone. And then when we reach out to them over the phone, you try to move them into a Zoom appointment. Move them into a Zoom appointment, you're doing an annual review. The minute you're doing an annual review, you perform customer service for them. When you provide customer service for them, it creates social guilt and social obligation. Now they are your client. You move them into your funnel. You move them into your sales funnel. Heard that language before? It's because this is very mechanical. Make sense? So that's how we do it, okay? In here, I'm not going to go through all these, but I've got in this same packet, you can see I've got scripts for you of how you try to set the appointment, how you're going to reach out to them to get them to agree to have the review, because you should be making contacts every single day. Have a goal to set, like I said, 4 or 5 a week. So at least Monday through Thursday. If you're going to do 4 a week, you are trying to hold one of these a day. And you're going to see everybody is so appreciative for having gone through it with you. I wouldn't spend any more than 20 minutes on this. Now it's going to end up going 30 and 45 minutes because they're going to have tons of questions. Tons of questions. And that's on them though. And they'll know that and they'll own that. So it won't be because you kept them too long. Okay. So, and that's how we move forward. Okay. So you will need to build your own packet. I think I've done most of that for you already. You're going to have to pull some stats for your area, but I think I gave you a worksheet how to do that as well too, down here. So you get some of those general basic numbers. Some of the other graphs that I've been showing you that are pretty enlightening when you show people, like, they have some of the strongest impact on people. I know this graph, I could show it to you 1,000 times over. And the reason I do is because it just has an amazing impact on people. Like, you show this to a buyer, they get aggressive. I don't care what you say. If you show this to a buyer, they don't wait for housing prices to come down. You show this to a buyer, they will make their offer above asking, because they know even if they go pay a price that's up here, it's going to catch up with. So showing rather than telling goes a long, long way, right? Showing them the homes built versus population. These are slides that I've given you that I would include in my graphic. Showing this stat is powerful, right? Showing them how population has continued to grow up, but for the last 10 years, we stopped building homes, which is why supply and demand so out of whack. Giving them that kind of explanation while you're as a basis for why their home's value has gone up so much, it enlightens them. It establishes that you know more than them about real estate. They appreciate it because you're giving them information, you're educating them. It's tangible, real estate relevant information that you give by coming from contribution and adding value to them, much more so than a calendar magnet or marshmallow peeps or pumpkin pies. Those are all good things, but they don't reside and convert into clients like you being an expert does to them, because that gives confidence. That gets respect. That makes people think I'm hiring the best, not the nicest. Trust me, you always want to be the best more than the nicest. The nicest doesn't always listen to you. They don't price their home correctly. They don't listen to your advice on negotiating. They're using you out of social guilt. They're not using you because they respect you. When you're the best, they do whatever you tell them to do because they respect you. And guess what? That's in their best interest. Because if you let the drunk guy drive the bus, which is what happens if you let your sellers make all the decisions, we got problems. Doctors don't let the drunk guy drive the bus. They don't let you come in and make prescriptions for themselves. They say, shut up, sit down. I'm going to look at your ears. I'm going to look at your nose. I'm going to look down your throat. And we're going to do things my way because I'm the doctor. When you're the best, they'll let you treat them as if you're a professional. So these type of contacts are nice to mix in. Yes, be nice all year long. Client events, pumpkin pies, all that stuff, good stuff. But mix in some real estate relevant value that establishes you as an expert. Now you're coming at them with the full package.